So I'm here with Robert Baxter. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
So we met in Moldova not so long ago for World Championships.
Yeah, just a few months, 3 months ago.
So we're gonna talk about how you ended up here, but like little background, like when did you start arm wrestling? How old you are? Might
Oh,
ask.
so I'm 60,
60. You
and
look amazing.
I said, think I don't feel great today. Too little
It's the
sleep,
jet
too
lag.
little
It's the
sleep,
jet lag.
too little
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started arm wrestling because of John Brzenk. I had friends. I had friends in my office that knew I liked to arm wrestle just for fun, and they said, "Hey, do you know the world champion arm wrestler that lives in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is where I'm from?" And I'm like, "No, I'd like to meet him." So they said, "Yeah, he's on the front page newspaper. He's on television. He's the world champion." And I was 30 at this time, and I called him. I looked in the phone book, called him up, and said, "Hey, John, you don't know me. I'd like to just arm wrestle you." I mean, but I knew he was gonna destroy me. I just wanted to see how good the best in the world, what the levels and how much better. And he was very accommodating.
So you just picked the book, you called them.
Yep, I called
Those
him.
were the times, right?
Yeah, those are the days. Yeah, and so and it turned out he only lived a block and a half from me. He
Ah,
only lived like less than a quarter mile away from me,
okay.
and or half a kilometer away. And I walked. I just walked to his house, and he invited me to arm wrestling practice every week, and I did that with him and Bob Brown and others for Bill Brzenk was really into it back then for 20 some years until John moved back to Arizona.
But that's like
That's how I
literally
got
the
was
goat
John.
got you into arm
The
wrestling.
goat got me into it. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing. And like I see you all the time in WAF World Championships. You've been consistently going there. Uh, you have some pretty good accomplishments in World of Arm Wrestling as well.
Well, I've got some. I mean, not. I mean, nothing compared to the goats. I mean, you've got John, the goat of all, and then you've got Ingen, the lightweight, middleweight goat. But yeah, I mean, I just love arm wrestling, so I've just always stayed with it. Always done it since for the last 30 years. But
So 30 years into sport or
30
more.
years, yep.
30 years in sport.
Yep.
So you found it when you were 30.
When I was 30, I thought it was too late. I'm like, oh, I'm too old.
And they're like,
But
no, don't worry about it.
yeah. Very helpful. And so I went to my first World Championships, and when I was 35, it was in 1999 at the Tokyo World Championships, WAF World Championships, and I went with John and Bob Brown, and we were the guys from the U.S. And I ended up with the bronze medal in the 110 kilo class, and then just kept going to after, and just and then I also too, that's where I met Devin, was 1999 Tokyo World Championships, and he took the bronze in the 100 kg, and then I was in the 110.
So I always ask this for most arm wrestlers, and everyone has a different answer. But what do you love about arm wrestling? Why arm wrestling? For you personally.
For me personally, it's two things. It's the challenge, because it's something that you can never really master. I learn something new at practice every week. I mean, things that I just never considered before. Sometimes I learn from somebody else. Sometimes I'm teaching somebody, and then I learn
You're like, oh,
by teaching somebody.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
this actually, now it clicks.
Yeah.
So and then the challenge of getting better, improving. There's always something to improve. As soon as you improve, now you have a new weakness, that's now surfaced that you didn't really see maybe as easily. And so it's just always changing and always challenging. There's that, and then the other thing that really appeals to me about arm wrestling is the people, the arm wrestling community. Back when I started arm wrestling, there was, we'd go to like Russia, Moscow for the Golden Bear, and very few people, in Eastern Europe spoke English back then, and it didn't even matter because you just connect with them. I mean, you're just like brothers
Yeah.
or your family. I mean, I just love the community. I love the arm wrestlers from everywhere.
Yeah, arm wrestling community. It is different. I think there's a lot of people like it because of community. How, especially you go to big competitions, you have these friends, even though you compete against each other, right?
Yep.
You create friendships, right? And then you go on table and you just arm wrestle, right?
Yep.
I like how sometimes we don't use words to speak. I was in years ago, maybe 15 years ago, in Lithuania for a competition, and we're trying to find a place, and we're just looking around, and a guy sees me, and he looks at me, and he does this, and I said, yeah, and at that time we didn't know anyone, right? So I like how that is. So you're coming into East versus West. What's the vision? What's your vision for East versus West coming forward, moving forward, or maybe even arm wrestling moving forward?
Yeah, so East versus West, I think, is the pinnacle. What Ingen has done is unbelievable. I actually tried to talk him out of doing East versus West the way he was doing it before he started. We talked, and
You thought tournaments were a better idea, or
well,
what
no,
was the?
I thought that because I told him, okay, no, Ingen, you've got these grand visions of making the athletes, um, you know, um, really taking all the money and giving it, sorry, in prize money. He wanted to pay the athletes what they deserve, he said.
Yes, yes.
And I'm like, well, you can't do that yet. And you can do that after you have the money. And he said, I don't care about profits, Robert. He said, I care about the athletes. And I said, well, Ingen, if you don't care about the profits, then you won't have a company. I mean, you have to make money or it ceases. It
Yeah, you have to be sustainable.
You have to be sustainable. And that's just from all my every business I've ever done.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be focused on the profits, and that's just a well-established principle everybody knows in business. Ingen had never been in business, and I thought, and he didn't care. And I'm like, wow. I mean, like this guy's not going to make it. I mean, so I was really sad, and I couldn't talk him out of it. I mean, he said, nope, I'm doing this for the athletes. I want them to be treated the way they deserve, and I'm going to do it. And I thought, there's no way he's going to make it. And then he proved me wrong. And I just kept watching him and kept, talking to him. And he defied all the logic of business. And here we are with the biggest organization ever.
In arm wrestling.
And in arm wrestling, yeah. And it's growing. I mean, so.
I guarantee you, after this weekend, it will be another 5-10% growth, at least.
Yeah.
So that's how it is every single time.
Yep. So, yeah. So I'm here not because of the business. It was in Moldova in August. I was went to dinner with Ingen, and I said, Ingen, this is killing you. Like you've got too much weight on your shoulders. You're carrying too much. And the organization is getting bigger, so you've got to hand off a lot of the responsibility, or because your health is suffering. And so I just really only cared about Ingen's health, and so I said, you've got to do this. And he said, I can't, Robert. I'm I just love everything. It has to be a certain way. It has to be done right. It has to be, and I have to do all these things. And I said, you can't. And so the only other choice you have then is you have to then sell it because you'll die doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And he said, well, maybe I have to do that. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll help you sell it. I won't charge anything. I'll just do it to help you. I'll find somebody so that you can sell it. And then he said, no, it has to be somebody that loves arm wrestling, and because otherwise, I don't think it'll go the direction, in the right direction. It won't be for the athletes. And so he said, I'll only do a deal with you and bring you in as my partner. And I said, okay. So that's how I got here. But it wasn't with the intent of, buying into East versus West or
taking some load off Engen and maybe giving a little bigger base, right? For East versus West to move forward.
Yeah, that's where I think the vision is now is, how do we collectively make this a mainstream sport? It'll take the whole community to do it, but
everyone's already involved.
Oh yeah,
They're already helping.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everybody is, and that's what I'm saying. The whole community is so great, and so, helping that, helping Engen to reach his vision, treating the athletes the way that they deserve to be treated, and treating them like real superstars that they are. Nobody ever did that before. All the other organizations, they just haven't done. They didn't have the passion that Engen had. They didn't have the love for the sport that Engen had. They didn't have the knowledge, and and it's all come together because of that, in my opinion. And so now it's just working together to reach everyone's collective vision of mainstream.
Man, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I think it's a great deal for sport of arm wrestling. I think it helps. Like, this is the chillest thing I have seen in a while. Like, he was so chill. He was self-reflecting and everything. We did a whole interview, and it was like, I never seen this. So it's already a good thing. I hope future is bright for the sport, and we'll definitely talk more.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Very good. Thank you.
Stay strong
Coach Ray.
and love arm wrestling.